After my wife told me at her sister's wedding that she had slept with the best man, I want to forgive her and move on with our lives. Am I crazy? At the wedding of her sister, my wife told me that she slept with the best man. The time is very important here. We got married 3 years ago after being together for 2 years. Together we were together for a total of 5 years. Not long ago, her sister got married, and my wife was in the wedding party. She did what she was supposed to do and helped her sister get ready for the wedding for 2 weeks. It wasn't a big deal, she kept me up to date so I knew what was going to happen. She used Wednesday to Friday off to help her sister, and she stayed with her for 3 days. I know her sister, but not much about the man who is now my brother-in-law. I have only met him a few times, but he seems like a nice guy. On Saturday morning, a few hours before the wedding, I got there early with the hope of seeing her for a short time. Since I knew she was busy, I didn't want to mess up her day. I hadn't seen her since Tuesday. I saw her outside her parents' house, so she sent her brother to tell me she would meet me in the car, which I thought was weird, but whatever. She finally came out, sat down next to me, and kissed me. She didn't act happy to see me instead. She told me she needed to talk to me, and didn't want to wreck her sister's day. She told me not to go to the reception, because I might hear some things about her and the best man, and she didn't want it to be weird or strange. I just kind of sat there dumbfounded. She told him that she slept with him 4 years ago. Even though it didn't mean anything, she told me ahead of time because she knew I would be jealous, and didn't want to be surprised if I heard something. I just sat there again. I didn't plan for my morning to go like this, but I told her I enjoyed hearing it, and that it wasn't a big deal right now. After she got back to the house, I had lunch, and then agreed to meet her at church. I had an epiphany while I was eating and looking at my phone. She said they had a one-night stand 4 years ago. We've been together for 5 years. At first I tried to ignore it because I thought she must have made a mistake with the timing. But the more I thought about it, the more memories came back to me. After being with me for about 1.5 years, she started acting strangely. She couldn't be reached when she usually was, so she went camping with coworkers for 2 weekends alone. I was worried about this, but I knew I had a long day ahead of me, so I tried to push those ideas to the back of my mind. When I got to the wedding, I saw everything happen. After the ceremony, there was a line of people waiting to applaud the bride and groom. The wedding party was also waiting in line. My wife was. Even though I didn't know the person next to me, the best man was there. As I walked down the line, I pretended everything was okay. The wedding party got to the reception late because they had to go to the photo shoot. I didn't say anything when my wife finally came in and sat down next to me. On such an important day, I don't want to be a bother. Instead of just leaving things alone, she told me that the best man and each groomsman and bridesmaid would dance together, and she would dance with the best men. I asked them why, since they weren't paired up in the wedding party. The maid of honor and her boyfriend are married and want to dance together, she said. I was more than angry at this point, but I tried to keep my feelings in check. I knew I shouldn't have drunk, because I get really angry when I'm drunk. She talked to everyone around her until it was time to dance. When the best man walked up and put out his arm, she got up to dance with him. Without meaning to, I chose not to watch them and instead focused on other things. They were laughing and talking like best friends when she got back with him. She chose to introduce us. I didn't tell him to get lost like I wanted to, but I'm sure my welcome wasn't very nice. Even so, that didn't stop him from sitting down and talking with her for a while. I became more and more angry as they talked and laughed about the past. I finally got up and went to the bathroom. When I came back, he was gone. She picked that time to tell me she thought I was being rude, which I didn't want to hear. I told her that this wasn't the right place or time to talk about this subject, but that we could talk about it later. After saying that, she said she was going to change clothes and tell her sister that we were leaving because I had ruined her day when she got back. What she didn't want me to do, though. It was her sister's day too. I told her that I understood and would not be causing any problems for her or her sister for the rest of the day, because I did not want to make a fuss. I would have liked to stay. She went to change clothes and came back looking mad. Please understand that I hadn't said anything to her and had even shook the other guy's hand. I think her response was based on the fact that I looked awful. She said she didn't want to stay, so I told her we could leave if she really wanted to. In any case, I would be happy to let her stay if she chose to leave. I could, as I had my own car. At first she demanded that we stay. But she changed her mind and told me to leave if I couldn't behave better. When I asked her how I was acting, she said it was clear I was trying to look like a ready-to-fight silverback gorilla. I wasn't sure whether to laugh at her or be mad at her. I went back inside and sat down while she talked with the other people who were there. I talked with her brother for a while before going back to our table to talk with her grandma. We both left at the same time, and I got home before she did. When she came in, I was waiting for her in the living room, and she didn't hold back. She told me the story about the other person again word for word when I asked her to. As I stared at her for a while, I asked her if she was sure about the time range and she said yes, certainly. After that, I told her that we had been together for 5 years, so this affair happened after we had been together for more than a year. It's hard to explain what happened next. She didn't get angry or reject it, she just said what she knew. When I asked her what was going on, she said that they worked together, so it was just a matter of being there. She thought things between us weren't going well right now, and she didn't like him or want to leave me. She was just having fun over a few weekends. She agreed that it was probably a bad idea for her to tell me now, but she didn't want to shock me. I didn't respond the way she thought I would. We had a heated argument, and at the end she said I was acting like a child about the whole thing. She said that since we were married now, what happened before our wedding shouldn't affect how we are together now. I don't agree at all. The fact that she cheated on us is the most important thing. She hasn't apologized for it. Second, I don't like being called childish when I'm mad. It seems like she's trying to show that she's better than me. She told me not to worry because we love each other and nothing changes, even though I told her I needed time to think about everything. That talk took place 2 weeks ago, and I'm still upset about it. It's been a while since she last tried to talk to me, but I don't see her the same way. Some parts of me think it's silly to be so angry about something that happened years ago, but other parts are truly hurt by the news of her cheating. Changes. My wife told me she slept with the best man at her sister's wedding. The groomsman who walked my wife down the aisle was married to the girl of honor, not my wife. Some people thought that my wife was trying to set up the dance, but I'm sure that wasn't the case. That doesn't mean she didn't offer to let them dance, though. Take part in other controlling behaviors. I wanted to make that point clear. The recent events have made it harder for me to make decisions. I was mostly angry last week, but as the weekend went on, I felt more and more sad. I want to hate her and open the door that lets me know I'm being lied to, but it's hard because I still love her, and this situation is breaking me down. This is what came next. She finally understood that I wasn't going to just get over this, which made her think that I might want to end the marriage. It was this realization that almost caused her to lose her mind. In my first post, someone said that. I was warned that she might try to trick me, and I paid attention. At first, I thought she was crying fake tears, but it was clear right away that she wasn't. She was having a very bad fear attack. Because of this, she had to go to the emergency room, stay in the hospital overnight, get new medicines, and make an appointment with her doctor next week for a follow-up visit. Her family members became interested, which led to long talks all around. I asked her what she planned to do with the whole house when we got there with her family. I was happy because I didn't want to spend the day with her father or sister. She said she wanted to spend time with her mother. I chose to work instead of going home right away. A text message from her 2 hours after I got there begged me to come home and said she really wanted to talk. I stopped what I was doing and went back. When I got to my front door, her dad was there and asked if he could talk to me. I was already very angry, and I was ready to tell him she lied if she did. Even though I didn't like him very much, I had never had a problem with him, so I didn't want to break his daughter's heart. We were sitting on the deck chairs, and the first thing he said caught me totally off guard. I wasn't ready for what he said next. He admitted that she had told them what had happened, and he felt bad about being a bad dad, so he wanted to say sorry to me. He thought that her mother had a big effect on how she thought. He loved them both, but he told them they were wrong. He told his wife many years ago that teaching their daughters that nothing is important before marriage was a bad idea, based on flawed values. He told me that he wasn't defending his daughter's behavior, but he did want me to understand that she really thought marriage was a different part of life. He said that her parents had made marriage sound so lovely that it was hard for her to see how things really were. I thought he was blaming his wife for something. But this wasn't what I heard. After shaking hands, he told me that I would be okay no matter what. He still had good feelings about me, which made me feel better for now. When I got back inside, my wife was curled up in a ball on her mother's lap, crying the whole time I was gone. I got a hug from her mother, who told me she was sorry, loved me, and hoped we could make things right. At this very moment, my wife was lying down on the couch. Her parents had already left, and she was crying in front of me. Okay, now I'm going to make everyone mad by telling you that I couldn't handle it. When I went up to her, we hugged for a long time, and she kept saying sorry. Even though I know it was the weak thing to do, I have to say that I loved her very much right before this happened, and would have done anything to keep her from being hurt. No matter what she did, I didn't want to see her like that. I mean, it's possible that she was giving an Oscar-worthy act, but I don't think so. It looked like she was broken at the time. Once she was calm, I asked her what she wanted us to talk about at home. She told me she wanted to tell me everything so I wouldn't feel like I was lied to or misled. She asked me to ask her some questions. I wish I had written down a list, but I just thought of a few right away. She was extremely honest with me. Some of the questions I asked may not have been necessary since the image is now firmly lodged in my mind, but I asked them anyway. I got confirmation just now. I asked for dates, or at least rough numbers. I didn't tell her about my worries about getting engaged because I didn't want her to change the story, and she remembered them. Luckily, this happened earlier in our relationship than she first told us, so we weren't hurt. He was engaged at the time. After someone brought it up in my last post, I felt sick just thinking about it, so I can't tell you how glad I was. Second, I asked her how many times she went too far with this because she decided to tell me how many times there was intimacy instead of just saying it. That wasn't something she did to be mean. She thought I really did want to know that. The part of the chat that didn't help me at all almost broke me down. It really didn't happen that often. It really only happened 3 days, but it happened many times during those 3 days. After that, it was hard to understand why she did what she did. I'll be honest, I'm not the most manly man, and it hurts to say that. But I couldn't ask without crying. I didn't understand why she picked him over me or why she didn't choose me, give up on me. She had to comfort me at that point because everything hit me at once. Her confession, seeing how they connect with each other, and now learning about the details of their affair. She spoke during this time, but I couldn't understand what she said. It didn't help what she said because I was too upset. Once I was calm again, I told her how terrible the deception was, but her response when she found out was just as bad, if not worse. She agreed and said she was sorry for calling me childish. She really thought that it wouldn't bother me now that we were married. This made my blood boil all over again. I was about to respond when she spoke up and said that she knew she was wrong after talking to her parents and accepted that cheating is cheating. But she thought that the happiness we had been having since we got married should mean something. I told them I thought happiness was based on a lie. She almost had to go to the emergency room again because of this, but we were able to calm her down by giving her Ativan and having her breathe into a paper bag. I let her sleep the rest of the night because I was mentally worn out. We did, however, start talking again by Sunday. At this point, I didn't understand as well as I did when we got home from the emergency room. I told her it was terrible to show him to me. It was much worse to see her dance with him, and the fact that she only admitted it because she was going to be arrested made it even worse. It was the worst. Then I asked her why she thought I would find out and how many other people at the wedding knew besides me. Even though the guy knew, so did his best friend, who is now my brother-in-law. Because of this, her sister found out, and she was scared that she would tell me. She said she hadn't seen this guy in 3 years until the wedding when I asked how often she saw him. I got angry and asked her if she knew him before the wedding. She put up a defense and pretended she would never have slept with anyone since she was married. I was so mad at her that I had to leave for a while. It was like she lived in a different world. After I felt calm enough to go home. You should be nice. She asked what she could do to help me get through this. Even though it might not seem like much, it was the first time she offered to help, so it was a kind thing to do. I told her I wasn't sure what she or we could do to make things better, and that I thought I might never get over it. She told me she wanted to help because she didn't want to see me in pain, and that she thought I would judge her based on who she was now. She said she would do anything to help me solve the problem. It was also important to her that I knew she had been loyal since our wedding and would never cheat on me, on her promise. It was rude of me to thank her, which was probably not the most adult thing to do. After that, I asked that we not talk anymore until at least Wednesday. I have 2 tasks to do, but I'm really tired and don't know what to do. I go back and forth between being very angry and wanting to kick her out and being very sad and wanting to forget everything and move on with her. People didn't want to hear this, and I'm not proud to type it, but it's the truth right now.